Some people just work with progressions, but just not transits, because you're seeing the spiritual path or the inner direction. But I find once you get the Saturn and the transits in place, and you have the character in the transit place, and you see the story, then you begin to see in a real way what are the challenges coming. Because a young person, they don't see the progressions, they're living it, it's happening to them. And it's not until you get to about 44, 45 that you begin to sense them a bit more. And then by 60 or 70, you really see, oh, these played out like this. You look back and you really see how they played out. And you have enough distance and perspective and wisdom to understand it. So the progressions are always a bit of a puzzle, but they are a guiding line for where your heart's evolving, your progressed sun. So this is her chart, her natal chart. Again, it's one of these charts that puts all the aspects in the middle. The transits, the progressions to the natal, natal to progressions, natal to natal. So it's like, it's too much. So you can't make sense of this. I mean, you can look at the planet and see it and follow it through. You can see the aspects, but it's a bit of a maze. We work with it better. We get it organized. Organizing our material is much better. What a chart like this will show you. So you can see it in her progressed sun from Cancer. She's been through the Leo phase. She's in the Virgo phase. Her progressed sun is right up there with Pluto. You can see it. So there's a challenge. I have to do something. There's a need to get control. There's a need to do things in the 9th house of higher understanding. But this need to do things, this whole time period of sun coming up to this has been her learning astrology. And I'm going to use it. Okay, like you can see that coming up. The other planets, Mercury is still Mercury's in the 9th. Venus is over in the 8th. So Venus is backed up. We're going to take a look at these. Mars is just about to go into the 12th. There's her ascendant. So her progressed moon's in Capricorn right now. It's coming up to the lunar return. And the Saturn, there's a progressed Saturn coming back to the IC, coming closer to the IC. So you can see the positions around the chart. So if you want to be thinking how it went, but whenever you think, you see where did it come from. Saturn just came there, it backed up from 12 degrees to 10 degrees. So this is a normal way of working with progressions. But it leaves you, it's so easy to, oh, I forgot to look at this, oh, I can't see this. Or even when you see in the Mercury, you don't know what's retrograde, what's not. You don't see the sequences of them. We know that it's evolved from where there's the Mercury, there's the Mercury. Here's the Venus, there's the Venus. You know Venus has been going retrograde, or still is, or may not be. You know there's some story about Venus going on here. And the sun, we know, goes straight forward, so it's building up 9th house, still building up to 10th house. It's still moving up. So we can see these things, but we organize it better. I like to look at one planet at a time, watch it, see what it does. Then you got it, you can add it into your story, and it says, oh, that's how this is going on. And you get these frequencies, these layers added on top. And that's I call it blossoming of the progressions. So first thing we got to do is look at the progressed moon phase. So when we see the chart, sorry, let's just back up. We see the chart, we see the suns in Virgo, moons in Capricorn. It's like a trine there. Okay, so it's before the sun in Virgo to the moon in Pisces would be the full moon. So it's just after the square. It's in the waxing square phase. But we calculate all the moon phases. So when we calculate the moon phases, starts in just after she was born, it went into the gibbous, the waning gibbous, then the waning square, waning crescent. She had the progressed new moon, 1981 in April, and one second. We're gonna see this in chart, but what I really did on this one, I went through all the new moon phase. There's the progressed full moon in 1995 at 26 Aquarius, 26 Leo. Then the next new moon was October 2010, September 8th at 11 Virgo. 2010, 11 Virgo, just as a new moon, just after the Venus in the 9th house. What's right, what's wrong? It's been going for a few years over her Venus. This is 2010, so this is probably as she's buying the house and things, and it's starting to turn around. There's no, okay, so we have, so right now, she's 2017, it went to the waxing square. And it's 2020, 12 in a year and a bit, it goes into it changes to the crescent moon phase, the waxing gibbous moon phase, leading up to the full moon. and the progressed full moon comes in 2024. Okay, so this gives us all the new moons and full moons and all the phases. It's important to see the phase that you're in to read it, because it's giving you a texture of how you're growing and how you're living. But you also want to know if there's any eclipses. So she's born in July. You look here, there's 2 eclipses, April and May. That's not going to be hers. If she lives long enough, October 18th, there'll be a lunar eclipse at 24 degrees Aries, 24 Libra. And then this is just of the year the verse, but you see the eclipse. The new moon was at 9 degrees Scorpio. So you can see here, where are we? The full moon at 25. No, that's Virgo. It's not till it's the 25 Aries. It hits the full moon in 2054, August. She gets the progressed full moon, and that one's the eclipse lunation. She will have the full moon eclipse. She won't. She's not likely to live to she'll be 90s, away in their 90s to get to the. It's 15 years after that to get the new moon, the solar eclipse. So this is what she gets. She gets the eclipse towards the end. That's perhaps a mystical understanding, but you want to get this down. And when you get to the stage, you want to read the phase and how we do it. Yeah, I'm going to read the phase. I'm going to go dig this up and read this. The moon phase. Where are we here? Just bear with me a minute. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I just want to show you, because this like the Saturn, it integrates the progressed sun and moon and the progressed phases and the phases your inner world is building up in. So I'm gonna go. Yeah, this isn't the right one. 1 second. This is it. Oh, just give me a minute. I'll find the right one. Goodness. Okay, at some point over the past 5 or 10 years, I renamed the moon phases because there was some confusion in my mind, and let's get through this. Yeah, and I put the new moon at the bottom, so we're used to looking at the new moon. But I think all the waxing phases are waxing. So there's a waxing gibbous, but there's not a waxing full moon because the full moon is full. You can't wax up to it. It's the waxing gibbous phase. I changed that one. And so you have the waxing crescent, waxing half moon phase, half moon and waxing, getting bigger. But you have the waning gibbous phase, waning half moon phase. So it shows you whether it's waxing or waning, and that's an important thing. So we're coming up to the waxing gibbous phase. Is that it? Are we here? No, she said she went into the waxing half moon phase in 2017, and then that was the turning point around making her own world start to go from out of the marriage and letting go of the house, getting her own world started up again. And in 2020 it goes to the waxing gibbous. So it's over in this here. So we're in the waxing half moon phase. We're going to go through. I just want to read through it. Okay, here we go. From 90 to 135. This phase begins at the half moon. Okay, ends at the 3/4 moon. Moonlight continues to increase during this phase. The moon reflects more light than darkness. During this phase, individual creative efforts take precedence over domestic security. And you'll want to take things further than you already have. Well, this is the phase she's added astrology in, added a hobby in, but she let go of owning the house. And so she has that cause of security, but the progression of learning astrology is moving towards this. Under this portion of the lunar cycle, you should enjoy any opportunity to express yourself and to be creative. Any interference that you run across will be met with resistance. You will not readily put aside your personal goals and directions for the demands from the past. You will constantly struggle to leave stressful family situations behind. You can expect some hassle due to family expectations, but you are not likely to live up to them, at least not on their terms. You must go your own way. This does not mean that you cannot be married, but it does imply that sharing will be on your terms, which it hadn't been before now. And obviously, obvious impatience manifests in this phase when you try to make things happen. You become rather abrupt and restless. Be strong, have courage, follow your own impulses. You cannot please everyone, but you can satisfy yourself. You need to make your dreams real, and you always have to do it right away. There's a pushy quality to this phase. You're energetic and will usually break through any obstacles in your path. You should not be overly sensitive to family concerns, but remember that goodwill and positive initiative can diminish resentments and solve many problems. Try to make the world a happier place. You have a strong belief in the future, but you will often encounter stress from the past and its hold on you. Struggles are inherent in this phase. You need to feel that you're going beyond the family you grew up in. There's a strong impulse to set up your own lifestyle and family in spite of parental approval. Humor has a marvelous effect on you. You need to laugh while you work and enjoy whatever arises to confront you. It's healthy for you to be challenged, to reach out to new horizons, and it is better still for you to dare to conquer. You have a spontaneous adrenaline level. You'll be able to react quickly to any demands made upon you. Try to work with the changes emerging in your life. Be happy, be positive, enjoy yourself. So that's this phase. Then this list of all the people have, but I just wanted to read it because it really, like the Saturn, it comes in like a really guiding light of how to advise someone while they're going through this. It really is appropriate. She's got to build up her own life, do her own thing, build up her own hobbies, her own interests. It's the perfect advice, merging the progressions to the transits to put on top of the Saturn. And since the Saturn's below the horizon and coming up to oppose the Sun, she's going to have some frustrations, but she's locked in certain ways. She maybe not have enough money to buy a place she won't want it or whatever, and that says whatever that might be, the Saturn, but she can't afford to not keep working with the astrology that she spent 3 years learning. She's got to keep going with her own interests. So you can see the advice in this case, the advice from the Saturn is similar to this advice, although this is saying impulsively go, and the Saturn is saying just wait a minute, but it's still moving in the same basic direction of building up your own thing. So there's an outside bit of brakes on the inside impulse to go, and they're working together. As soon as that Saturn gets finished with that impulse to go, is going to keep growing and goes into the next phase, the next moon phase. So this is where you would use the moon phases in this. Just before you start, we're going to go look at the moon, but we want to see the moon phase and what it's suggesting before we got to the moon progressions, the sun and moon progressions. It is the progressions, but it's the phase that's going on between the new moons and the full moons. It's the phases in between, and they're so useful. They're the ones we grow through. It's really a natural connection. It should be like that.